All right, Ford expanding its reach into autonomous vehicles to be the largest in the industry. That announcement came with the news Ford would be testing self-driving cars on the public roads of California. And today, Ford is making some exciting new announcements regarding the expansion of its workforce and its investments in those self-driving vehicles. Joining me now live from Ford's lab in Palo Alto, California, is CEO Mark Fields. Good morning to you, Mark. Good of you to join us this morning.
Oh, thanks, Sandra.
All right, so tell us first off, what's your big announcement this morning?
Well, we're going to be making some announcements around autonomous vehicles, around working with new partners, and around significantly expanding our already fairly large presence here in Silicon Valley. And this is really around, as we look at, as we're going through our transition from an auto to a mobility company, we're looking at autonomous vehicles. We feel very strongly that autonomous vehicles can have almost the same significant impact on society like Ford's moving assembly line did 100 years ago. And so we're here to talk about our next steps a little later this morning.
And so, Mark, what do you tell people who still have a difficult time with the concept of a self-driving car?
Well, listen, as we go forward in the future, there's going to be folks who are going to want to continue to drive and love to drive. There are others that, driving is not a priority for them. And so our approach is not only to lead in what we call driver assist features that we have on the road today to assist people to drive, but also as we work towards fully autonomous vehicles. Well, and there's more and more interest around that.
There certainly is. I mean, you see it in all over the TV and magazines and newspapers. It seems like we're talking about it every day. What's the reality of the situation, though? Like, what % of cars on the road 5 years from now will be autonomous vehicles?
Well, what you'll see coming is probably, as I said, 4 or 5 years ago, by the beginning of the decade, there will be some fully autonomous vehicles on the road. And probably initially they'll be focused in cities where there's a lot of population. And there won't be probably broad availability beyond that till later in the decade. But, clearly it's a priority for folks. They want to save time. They want to be able to do things besides driving, particularly as they're getting across in cities. And we want to be there for them and leading in that way.
All right. And Ford has seen an amazing turnaround story in recent years. What does this do to your business, specifically your company?
Well, we're on a very firm foundation. Last year we had record profits. First half of this year, record profits. As we go forward, we're maintaining our guidance, which is to have equal to or better than our record profits last year. We are seeing some risks. But clearly, as we continue to invest in our core, we see these new opportunities around autonomous vehicles and mobility services, and we're very excited about that to grow our business.
All right. And as far as this adding more jobs to the industry, what will the changes be there?
Well, as we look at our presence here in Silicon Valley, we're about going to be doubling our workforce to probably about 300 professionals by the end of next year, and more than doubling the size of our campus. And as you can imagine, it's roboticists, it's machine learning experts, software and sensor engineers, and we've attracted some great talent over the past year and a half, and we expect to do more going forward. All
right, and taking a look at the broader auto sector, concerns growing that sales have sort of hit a plateau. I know that Europe has been really tough. What's your outlook as far as sales?
Well, here in the U.S., we have said we've seen a softer than we expected retail industry. That's part of the reasons we've flagged some of the risks to our guidance, although we're still committed to our guidance and achieving that. We're seeing lower pricing and higher incentives. So we're taking a very proactive approach. That's who we are as a business. We call them the way we see them. In Europe, Europe is still strong. We're starting to see the impacts of Brexit in the UK. The retail industry was down last month, so we're starting to take appropriate actions there as well.
Everyone's trying to assess the state of the consumer in this country right now, Mark, and you have your ear to the ground when it comes to that, and as far as their spending habits are concerned. We just heard from a Fed president who is suggesting that we might see those short-term interest rates finally move up this year. He's really optimistic about the second half. When you look at the consumer right now, what is your biggest fear? What's your biggest concern when you do look at their spending habits?
Well, the consumer, when you look at their balance sheets, and they're in relatively good shape. As it pertains to the auto industry, we have to remember that the auto industry had really robust sales early on in the economic recovery. We were actually over-indexing versus the general economy. And what we're seeing now is as that growth is plateauing and as we're seeing, the retail industry come down a bit, we're seeing an intense level of competition. So I think the consumer is in good shape. But, we benefited early on as an industry in the recovery, and I think now we're a bit coming down off of that, and we're getting prepared for that as a business.
And we're going to have to leave it there, but Mark, quickly, where are you seeing interest from the consumer as far as car demand? Is it trucks? Is it small cars? Gas prices are still so low. Are SUVs back in popular demand?
Well, it's very clear that we started this trend starting 4 or 5 years ago. Consumers are moving from passenger cars and small cars to small and medium-sized SUVs and pickup trucks. But even across both of all those segments, consumers still want good gas mileage, no matter what segment they're in. But we're clearly seeing a shift in the marketplace towards SUVs and crossovers and trucks.
So maybe not a frugal consumer, but a responsible one. All right, Mark Fields, thank you, and good luck with your announcement and moving forward with those self-driving vehicles. Good to have you.
All right. Thank you, Sandra.
All right.